Joining us online. We're excited to have a distinguished panel of women here that are going to talk with us a little bit about their experience as being women in the manufacturing industry. So before I get started, my name is Annette Haynes-Shine, and I'm Learning and Development Manager here for Sumitomo. I'll let each of these ladies introduce themselves to you as we get started. So we'll start with Rachel.
Hey, hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a designer at Sumitomo, and I work Sumitomo for 10 years now. And then I started my career at the workshop as a welder, and then I moved to engineering design department, and then design team, and then worked as a designer, innovative building.
Okay, thanks. Rachel, go ahead.
I'm Susan Rudy, I'm supply chain manager. I've been in manufacturing 20 years, going on 8 years at Sumitomo.
Sarah Zimmerman, I am Vice President of Customer Experience and Products, so I have the design group, engineering and R&D underneath my responsibility. Been here 28 years.
I'm Ashley Wiggins, I'm the HR supervisor, and I've been here 8 years, and I'm over recruiting, employee relations, and employment.
Great, thank you all. So we have a terrific group of diverse experience in terms of number of years and areas of our business and what they do. So I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more from each of them on a number of different questions. So I'm just going to get started, and certainly I'll direct them to each of you, and then others that want to chime in will just go for it that way. So I want to begin by asking you, Rachel, I'm going to start with you, and you're going to speak really loudly so everyone can hear. So what first drew you to manufacturing, and what made you stay?
Yes, at first, because I'm not from America, and then when I started looking for a job, I thought maybe having some skill will be more competitive to getting a job. So, and then I found there is this government job enforcement program, and then they supported a school education, and then there was one of the program of the welding, and then I always like kind of the craft things, and then I was thinking, because I'm not from here, so my speaking, I wasn't not that much confidence, and then I work with a drawing so that very clearly I can, understand and working, and there was a high demand in this area, and then paid better than, what I can do starting here, so that's how I, get into,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting that you said you specifically chose a career with, it didn't have to rely on your speaking right away, right? So I think that was really smart. I mean, visual design is kind of universal, right?
Yeah.
Great, thanks. Somebody else, tell us about what first drew you to manufacturing and what made you want to stay.
Well, I fell into manufacturing, I didn't seek it out. However, what keeps me here is it's fast paced, no 2 days are the same. Every decision has some impact on the outcome, and every day is just exciting.
Great. Sarah, how do you?
So for me, I worked for a distributor in the beginning. Of course, this was in the late 90s, and I kept applying for an outside sales position, and they would not hire me. And I had outside sales experience, and I was working there about 7 years. And so I looked for an opportunity where I could see for advancement. And so that's what drew me to Sumitomo when I first applied. Here we had one female manager. She was in charge of the IT department, and I felt like, okay, this is a place that's going to embrace, women and give you an opportunity to move up. And then that's what's kept me here. I've had lots of opportunities to do several different jobs in my career here.
Ashley, how about you?
I came into this role as an HR assistant. I knew nothing about manufacturing. I came from retail, hospitality, and actually the public sector. What I loved about it was there was a certain welding supervisor that took his time with me and actually took me back to the shop to show me, what's a lathe, what does a machinist do, what is a bridge mill, and he actually didn't do it once, he actually took me back there 3 times, and that kind of opportunity and dedication toward me learning about what actually employees do on the shop floor definitely kept me here.
Awesome. All right, let's go on to a little bit more to set the stage for us. In one sentence, can you tell us what breaking the gear ceiling means to you? That's kind of our theme for today. So does anyone want to start? Susan, maybe?
Do I have to limit it to one sentence?
You don't have to limit it to one sentence.
Well, for me, in the US, on average, the women make up about 21% of the manufacturing workforce. So there's clearly still some invisible barriers and biases. For me, breaking the gear ceiling in manufacturing is just overcoming those invisible barriers, and also, as I go through them, leaving that door open for others to follow, setting new standards and new expectations.
Any other thoughts on what it means to break the gear ceiling? Ashley?
To me, don't stop, and basically do not stop. You're promoting yourself and take on more leadership roles as someone, either being a machinist or a welder, moving to that team lead role, then maybe the supervisor role, and then also keeping yourself engaged, not only with your employer, but the outside area of your industry. So you're bringing that back in and just becoming a face.
Sarah?
Yes, the one thing that I would add is being on the engineering and design side, when we see applicants, the majority of them are men, right? And that's where, from a study standpoint or young people getting their degrees on the STEM side, it is still male dominant. And so I think for me, when we talk about breaking the glass ceiling, is when I can post a position, or when any of us post a position and we're seeing just as many female applicants applying to that job as we do men.
Anything to add, Rachel?
Well, yeah, it was like, at first when I was studying at the weld shop, there was beside me, there was another lady, her name was Joyce. She's Joyce, and then just kind of that reminds her, because I would be really like, if I was by myself there, I would be more feels like kind of small back there, but she was there and then she was experienced. And I told her when she retired, I told her, I really want to, I thank you because you were there. I could stay, or I could adapt and I could do better. And then she said, you know what, somebody got to do. So she said that she's so happy she's the one who could, break through that.
Yeah.
So I think it's like what, everyone said, it's kind of breaking that means open a door, or like showing the way.
Yeah.
Other people can go.
Yeah, and all of you are doing that. All right, let's move on to a little bit of questioning around your career growth and leadership opportunities. The next question I have for you is, what moment stretched you the most as a leader, and what did you learn from it? So Sarah, as one of the top leaders in our company, the only female, why don't you go ahead and start with that?
Yeah, so for me, I would have to say it was the very first time I ever had a 360 evaluation. And I remember you, Annette, facilitates those for us, and I remember you giving me the advice, don't pick your friends. Pick people that maybe you have controversy with, or who push you. And so I took that advice, but when you get those results back, you're a little surprised by them. And so I think what stretched me the most is getting that feedback, not getting defensive, and being self-aware. And I carry that self-awareness with me, even now. And one of the activities was to find an accountability partner. And I still have those accountability partners to this day. And even if I'm in a meeting, they'll give me a certain look like, hey, Sarah, take it down a notch, or maybe, take a breath when you're explaining things. And to this day, those two of those individuals still give me the nod and the look sometimes. So I think that stretched me the most in line. It's just that ability to be self-aware will serve you well.
Great. Susan, you had come up in your leadership as well. So what opportunities have stretched you?
For me, it's, and I still struggle a little bit with this, is balancing my empathy and sympathy with accountability and my responsibility as a leader. One example is very early on, I inherited an older gentleman, and he was not performing, and I knew his personal story, and I was very empathetic to it, but I had to eventually make a decision to take action on his poor performance, and that was a very difficult thing for me because it was the first time I had to formally do something like that, but it was a growing experience as well.
Mm-hmm. big one. Ashley, how about you?
I think taking my SHRM certification exam really stretched me because I had to think more on the CEO level when it came to that exam and the questions that were being asked for me because I couldn't think about local Sumitomo that's here in Chesapeake or either in the locations. I had to think more as Sumitomo heavy industry, so I had to think more on the global side. So that helped me stretch pretty much in the rest of my career after that. Just because now when I make a decision, I gotta think, okay, this is not a decision just for this department or this location. I gotta think, how is this gonna affect Sumitomo as a whole?
How about you, Rachel? Do you have any experiences that really stretched you and grew into your independent leadership?
Well, I think curiosity for me,
Yeah.
because that's how I started back there. Every time when I get a drawing, I know what, what to make, but I don't know how this applies to where and then how we're using it and why this is important. I kind of question a lot. So those questions, I guess, define the beginning for find out why, and then kind of more learning. It makes me more curious and then interesting. So that's then I kind of was like more respect too because before when I see 1 milliliter difference or 2 milliliter difference, it's very small and tiny. Maybe it's why that's important. Kind of I could have been my just judgment, but it's kind of now when you know why the behind the reason, then kind of more respect, even if it looks a very small number or tiny stuff, but everything has a reason, and there is the people who making decision. They are studying for that, So yeah, it's a more like a respect or value. What am I doing?
Yeah, and you mentioned curiosity. I think that'll stretch anybody, leader or not, it'll stretch you. If you're asking why and trying to understand, I think that's a really important thing to do no matter who or where you are in the organization. All right, let's move on to another question. How do you establish credibility in technical or production environments? Susan, you want to start with that one?
I think you get up from your desk, you get involved, you insert yourself in some of the problem solving for issues that arise. You learn, you be prepared, you show confidence in your statements, and you earn trust.
Lots of good things there. Sarah?
Yeah, from the engineering side, one of the things that I had to learn early on is, you hear fake it till you make it. And in a technical manufacturing environment, that is not something that you want to do. If you don't know, it's okay to say, I don't know the answer and I'll get back to you. And I give that advice even to this day. And then to Susan's point, you've got to learn the product. You've got to, and Rachel said it too, question why. Why are our tolerances the way they are? What are the applications? What are our customers? Really have a deep knowledge of the product that you're manufacturing and selling and understanding why behind it.
I agree with Susan. Being present is very important, especially in the HR role too, or any role really. Being present and willing to learn and participating. Sometimes, again, asking those important questions or why is this happening? One good thing about Sumitomo is usually if you ask a question, whether it's an engineer or a machinist or a welder, if you ask them why, they'll be more than happy to take those couple of minutes or even an hour or so to actually tell you why this is happening or why is this process the way it is. So that's very important.
Rachel, how would you establish credibility in production?
For me, it's clarity.
Clarity?
Yeah, clarity and then consistency, and then ultimately our own outcome. So when the outcome is good, you would still be humble and then remember, who was in supporting for this outcome. So we kind of share, and then but outcome is bad. Like maybe look at myself first, And then
Nice.
kind of, like what makes that,
Yeah.
turning that way, so kind of you just look back yourself, study yourself, and then, so take the responsibility.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is accountability, some self-awareness,
Yeah.
all good things that help establish credibility. So what skill or mindset shift helped you to move from contributor to decision maker? Ashley?
It was a theme that we had a couple of years back. It was called Be the Solution. So before you're just doing your average daily tasks or actions, but that really had, when we ran that campaign, it just reminded me that, okay, yes, I can do X, Y, and Z, but is there some way that, one, I can improve it, or do I have any ideas that can contribute? So after that, every time I think about an issue that comes up or new task that's put in front of me, I just think, okay, be the solution. Where can I go next from this? Where can I actually solve from this? So it kind of shifted my mind thought.
Rachel, how about you? What skill or mindset shift helped you move from contributor to being a decision maker?
For me, like, same, just a study, keep studying, so you have to be confident, like without confusion, what you know, kind of like clearly know what you don't know. At first, that's kind of, you can make decision, and then more likely, open mind too, I just to always, I like to know why that person thinking that way, or where they come from, so kind of like, also just to always, there is no right or wrong all the time, but we just try to make the best decision. Yeah, so not sticking to one.
Goes back to what you said earlier about curiosity.
Yeah.
Susan, how about you? A skill or mind shift that helped you move from contributor to decision maker?
Yeah, so to piggyback on both what Ashley and Rachel said, confidence and then owning the outcome or being the solution. You have to be comfortable with accepting the outcome, good or bad, and the consequences that come with it, being ready to pivot, being confident within what you're doing.
Yeah, so for my role, I spent a lot of time in like strategy meetings and things like that. And when I first stepped up into this level of director and even executive, I've always been a problem solver, the person that sees something and then takes care of it. And then when you're in the strategy type position, you can't always go to solving the problem all the time, right? We're in an environment where you want to put the idea out there and then gather those ideas and then move on. And I would, in the beginning, when I first stepped up, I would always want to go to solving the solution or getting into too many of the details. So that was a skill that I've had to learn over the years, especially in strategy meetings at my level, and even I'm on the board of 2 different associations. And when we have strategic meetings in there, sometimes they'll have to say, Sarah, today we're not solving the problem, we're just putting it out there. So
Yeah, it's good. That's good awareness too. All right, we're going to shift our attention a little bit to maybe something that is drawing women to this conversation, and it has to do with sort of culture and barriers that maybe women run into in the field of manufacturing. So, starting off with, what's one barrier that still exists for women in manufacturing? Rachel, I'm going to start with you on that one.
Okay, for me, it's from my experience, what I feel when I started in the workshop, I think the typical characteristic about woman is could be burial, because I still men, not every man, but some men, they still look at woman as like a physically, emotionally vulnerable, being. So like a good part is they try to help, and then so they are thinking like like a physical part, because back there has a lot of physical work and carrying or bringing, and then they are, of course, they think they are kind of like being nice for me, so they're kind of excluding me. But that time I always said, because we have all the tools, there are crane, there's forklift, so yeah, I can do that, so I always like have to tell them, it's okay, but people just say, hey, go the man, go the guy, so like those things, and then also they are always making a joke around me, they always kind of apologize, they don't want to offend me or something, but I don't know, like, maybe, some people could be that way, but, women also, we are very open, and then not always like taking personally or try to get emotional, crying, or, like, oh, I heavy or it's dirty, like, we are not that much doing, so, I'm thinking so men, when they are kind of getting the woman in the team member, just to, before you say, one woman or a man, or, oh, maybe we have to do for her this, like, don't, I hope they don't thinking that way,
Yeah,
Just to, let them ask, because
That's
we
right.
need help, we're gonna approach and we're gonna ask help, but they don't have to, consider or having some, that, stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. One barrier that still exists for women in manufacturing, Susan?
I think it is the perception that for some people that manufacturing is more physical or, dirty, and it just kind of deters some people from even applying. As Sarah mentioned, sometimes she doesn't even have a single female applicant for certain roles. I think that's a barrier. I think sometimes you enter the manufacturing world and there's not a lot of females that can even mentor you or sponsor you. So that's another hurdle that we have to overcome.
Sarah?
Yeah, I would piggyback a little bit on what you said, and it's just the assumption that you don't want that opportunity, right? Rachel said it, there's an assumption, and so before you assume, ask, right? So maybe there's an opportunity that requires travel, and I've heard people say, oh, she won't want to travel, she has childcare issues, but just overcoming those types of thoughts.
Yeah.
Give somebody the opportunity and ask, and then they'll let you know whether they want to step up or not.
Yeah, good. One barrier that still exists that you see for women in manufacturing, Ashley?
Themselves, right at the application process, we've gone to recruiting events and we've had females come up and say, oh, this job is for a male or for a man. And then we have to go back and say, no, we have female welders, we have material handlers, they're female. So then we have to then put out the extra effort. So it kind of stops the women from applying at the beginning. Two is another portion is not continuing the process of the physical or production or manufacturing side. Some females do, or women just move over into more of the admin role when that comes up, maybe into customer support out of another manufacturing production area into customer support or procurement or another kind of admin department. So it kind of takes them out of that progression toward another leadership role within the physical actual shop. And I would like to see more females kind of stay in those roles and then move up to like a team lead, to a supervisor, to a manager, and continue that career path process. Doing that does break them away, and when they try to come back in, like we get a resume and they're trying to come back into maybe like a plant manager role, then they've kind of lost that really good chunk of experience and time within like a production manufacturing direct role.
So that's great, Ashley. And so to build on that, I'm going to stick with you for the next question, which is, so what practical action can companies take right now that will help accelerate advancement?
Participation more on the with schools, colleges, education levels of probably middle school to high school, especially 8th grade, especially in the Chesapeake area, because that's when they decide that they're going to go into a high school STEM area. So at Sumitomo, we participate in the World of Works every year. It's just a great couple of days of us trying to have children, female, male, just children, come play with our product, kind of see what kind of positions that we offer here, and get them kind of engaged in thinking more, okay, can I go into manufacturing engineering? Can I go in production engineering, become a designer, even welding and machining? Also participating in events like ODU's internship and career fair. We do that every year to kind of bring in our interns, and some of those end up becoming our engineer in training. And then we actually have we have a female that is our engineering training this year, and we're actually bringing her back with us in March of this year.
Great. Somebody else want to take a stab at that? What practical action can companies take right now to accelerate advancement? Sarah?
So I heard Susan say mentorship and sponsorship, and there is a difference between the two. So it's great to be a mentor, but on sponsorship, and that is bringing up other women in the room, right? Giving them that opportunity for maybe a key assignment, not just promotions, but we do a lot of strategic projects here, and you want to have somebody in that room to say, hey, I know Rachel is good at this, why don't you ask her to participate in that event? So I think mentorship is important, but sponsorship is even more important, right?
Practical action, Susan?
Yeah, I agree with what Sarah said. Providing opportunities to be uncomfortable and to stretch yourself. And that can be a project, that can be the Dale Carnegie course, putting them in a Kaizen that maybe is a little bit outside of their comfort zone. But the more exposure, the better. And then just making sure that every single person has an individual development plan and that it's being talked about and updated frequently.
Yeah, great. Rachel, is there anything you would add to that about an action that companies can take to accelerate advancement for women?
Well, for me, I think we still could supporting things, especially, listen to the starting things, women's in manufacturing, the leading things, and then I would like, the kind of sharing what's going on, and then also we kind of takes turn, individual people, how they're getting here, kind of like a little, kind of like this time, so sharing together, so we understand, and then we know, but not just inside, maybe like college or high school, the girls, little young ladies, we can maybe share to, then they can get inspired to get an idea, it's not just all the time, just hard, and then I can do that, just that things. And then one thing I just found today about this, it's for men.
It's for a man, you said?
Yes, because this one's open, you click this way, but woman's button-down shirt open this way. So I was going to put it like this, go microphones like this. This is another action, we can take it, so more ladies can.
Very
It's like me.
Very
Very
observant.
lower voice person, I need to
That was very good. She pays attention to detail, this is why she's a designer. Fantastic. Let's go on to one last question in this segment. What does meaningful allyship look like on the shop floor and in leadership meetings? Susan?
So on the shop floor, it's ensuring that all the standards are the same across the board. They're applied to everybody equally. That can be making sure everyone has a voice, giving credit to somebody when they're not present to own the credit themselves, and just making sure everyone's respected in the same manner. In a leadership role, it's giving credit to those who aren't there, amplifying ideas of others, challenging any biases that might exist, and really just being an advocate for anybody who's not in that room.
Ashley, what would you say about what does meaningful allyship look like on the shop floor and in leadership meetings?
Supporting and promoting each other in whatever goals or aspects that person may have is really important. And again, being present for that person, and like Susan said, in or outside of that room.
Sarah, what would you add to that about allyship?
Yeah, I think Susan mentioned the word bias, and I think sometimes you're in a meeting and a simple, I used the example earlier about, hey, they might not want to do something because of travel. I've also heard the assumption of we're doing a golf tournament and no women have been asked to play golf, right? So sometimes it's hard when you're in a room to raise your hand and say, hey, why haven't we thought about one of our female employees versus always going to the same group of men? And so, being able to say that in those environments is important. And I gotta be honest, sometimes I've heard a conversation and I've not raised my hand and I have to think about that afterwards and make sure that I'm always thinking about that, because I think a lot of times it's unconscious bias. It's not intentional, right? I think it's unconscious bias, and I think it's our job as leaderships to bring that up. But don't ask me to play golf because I would say no, so.
Who suggested?
But don't assume.
Right. Rachel, anything you want to add to that about what meaningful allyship looks like?
For me, I believe still do that machine shop every, I think they have monthly meeting or together, but that time when we did the, Mr. Murphy and then, Mr. Travers, always, they are, like, as long as they are available, they always came. And then especially Mr. Murphy always making some different, area or field, like, making a presentation and then share with us and then showing us and then like how that our unit's been using and then how that works. And then what customer said in the little meeting, but whoever is farming this project or this unit, standing up, giving some hands, and then also Mr. Travels always asking, any opinion or any question, always encouraging and listen, and then always giving a feedback in the meeting or even later following up or next meeting or something changing. So that was, I think, I really appreciated that moment, and then kind of giving us more, trust in building and respect our leaders, because it feels like they are recognized for our work, and then they don't forget, and then they're listening, and then they care. So I think, that was a really good meeting to me.
Good, great. All right, well, we have just a few minutes left. We're gonna round that out with a couple more questions, kind of looking towards the future. So the next question I have for you is, how is technology changing opportunity for women in this industry? Sarah?
I think Rachel touched on it before, and even when I started, we didn't have some of the equipment that we have out in the shop to be able to move heavy objects. So when I started, I can tell you that it was a physical job out on our shop floor. And in the 28 years that I've been here with the new technology and different things that we have machinery to help us move something. So an assumption of, hey, you can't do this job because the load is too high or too much for you. Those kinds of things have been taken away. And then, I think people are surprised when they come here. It's a clean environment. So I think manufacturing in the past was always thought of a dirty environment, and that's not the case here at all.
Sure. Ashley, how would you answer that question? How is technology changing opportunities for women?
Just by the AI, LinkedIn, the communications that are happening within LinkedIn itself, has been a great opportunity, because we're all can choose to select the people that we want to make connections to, from first to second and sometimes third connections, and you never know who's really pulling up your page. And then also on the AI portion is when we post a position, yes, it goes straight to Indeed, but there's another thing, section that's in the background called what we call a blast. So basically it's grabbing all that job description in the background, looking for certain keywords, and then it's targeting. It's targeting out to specific groups to hopefully get those applicants to come out. So when there's opportunities that are available that maybe a woman may not have usually kind of been drawn to or seeking directly, that is now being targeted back to them, as in they're trying to seek, the system is trying to seek them out as an applicant.
Yeah, can't ignore AI as technology. Rachel, what would you say? How is technology changing opportunities for women in this industry?
more exposed to people too now, because they are so gets more familiar, so and also, yeah, just like that, there's a lot of tools out there and then programs, everything, so you don't have to be really like physical strength or, yeah, like Sarah said, it's not that like dirty or, you know, dangerous environment at all, so, yeah, that's more like easy to.
Yeah.
Cool too.
Susan, would you add anything to that?
I support what Sarah said, automation, things like that, definitely move the focus from this is a physical environment to a strategic environment. And then having the digital tools and advancements there can allow for positions to be a little bit more flexible, and that's definitely more attractive to some people. So.
For sure. So, what advice would you give to a young woman considering manufacturing? Susan, I'll start.
Just do it. Do it. It's really cool to be part of how something is made. It's a really neat environment. If it's even on your radar, just do it.
Sarah?
Yeah, like Susan said, go for it, please apply, do your research on the company, and we really need women's perspective in these positions, so yeah.
Ashley?
Probably,
The question was, what advice would you give to a young woman considering manufacturing?
take the opportunity to do internships. Those are really important. I know they're a small bit of time compared to you thinking about your career and your total future, whether it's a month or 10 weeks or 6 months, but take the opportunity to do it. Also, something that we do here at Sumitomo that's really cool is that we do take the time to do tours. So if a student from the College of Albemarle or Taiwan Community College or ODU would like to come in and actually see the facility and see the environment, that is probably the best thing to do, is like take those times to go see the facility. Whether it's here, Steel, or one of the other companies, it doesn't matter. Just take that opportunity to see how the environment is.
But we prefer.
We prefer them to come to us.
All right, and Rachel, how about for you? What advice would you give a young woman considering manufacturing?
That's actually this is what my welding instructor told me, and then the first time when I went workshop with that there, if I want to do it or not, I just want to check and then when I leave, I guess if he just look at my face, read my face, and then he just say, whatever in the future, I understand whatever you like to do your decision, but whatever you want to do it or you don't want to do it, please don't make a decision because you're a woman. So I want to tell that this because you're a woman. I don't, maybe because a woman, there's so many men, it's not, we are all just the same, and then there's always like good and bad things, and the women's definitely have a very, like a strength portion, compared to men, so, yeah, I want them to be calm, and then, and definitely less drama, because it's a man, we're working together, and then it'll be much fun,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, ladies, well, one more question, and I want to make sure, obviously, each of you get a chance to answer this one as we're finishing up today. So the last thing is, what responsibility do we each carry to open doors for the next generation? Who wants to go first on that? Susan?
My responsibility is turning my experience into an opportunity, a learning experience, or inspiration for somebody looking to advance, making sure that I'm transparent on what it takes to advance someone's career, helping them put that plan in place, and then really just holding the door open for anybody behind me.
Nice, thank you. Ashley, how would you answer that question? What responsibility do we each carry to open doors for the next generation?
Supporting And whether that is supporting other educational institutions to help promote women in manufacturing and engineering itself, and then also being a participant, either serving on the board or being a mentor or ally to our future. That's probably
Okay. Rachel, how would you answer that responsibility we carry to open doors for the next generation?
Yeah, it's a stay in this industry, and then, just like Susan said, holding the door till next to, people can, and then like a hand me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like it's like a racing,
Like
one
a-
part comes to coming back and back, two people, more people will be good, but, I guess to keep, not trying to make him, I'm the last person, but just to, make sure there's more people coming.
Yep. And Sarah, how would you finish that?
Yeah, it's similar to what everybody said, is just make sure that you leave that door wider open than when you found it. I can tell you for myself, here at Sumitomo, in 28 years, we have a lot more women in leadership positions throughout the company. And so just to continue to do that, continue to promote it, because to be honest with you, we talk about women in manufacturing, but manufacturing in general needs that promotion across the board. And then, as Ashley said, I have served on a couple different boards and get active in the community for that. And I think that that's our responsibility, is get out there and tell our story and introduce women into manufacturing.
Yeah, well said. Well, listen, we actually do have a few minutes left, and so if there are any questions from any of our participants who are sitting here in the room, I'd like to open it up to you to ask any questions you might have. And if you don't, that's okay too. But I just sprung that on you. Let me pull out. Anybody? Okay.
Your questions were so thorough.
They were very thorough questions, so whoever prepared them they were amazing questions, the man behind the camera. So anyway, I want to take the opportunity to thank you all for participating in our Breaking the Year Ceiling forum this afternoon. I appreciate your inputs and really your leadership of being women in this industry and sharing it with those that are out there. So thank you all for your participation, and enjoy the month of Women's History Month.
Thank you.